Hello and welcome to Homicide Hobbies. I'm Andy,
And I'm Claire.
and we're here to talk about some of the disturbing things that go on in the world, past and present. We feel like not knowing doesn't mean the crazy doesn't exist.
So we're going to scar you with the knowing.
Enjoy.
It was pretty funny because she just started her case, and then I looked up at the timer thing, and I was like, I don't think it's recording yet.
It was just a dry run.
So what do you got for us today, Claire?
So today we're headed to a place where the name of it is called The Meadows in Spanish.
New Mexico?
Nope. But because of its natural springs is why it's the name. It was named that, I guess. But it's also famous for its bright lights.
New York?
Still no. It's a place that has over 300 weddings take place every day.
Why would I know that?
Over 6,000 pounds of shrimp are consumed daily.
Louisiana.
No. It holds a record for the largest poker tournament.
Texas.
Still no.
Well, how many hints? Are we in the United States?
There's 15,000 miles of neon tubing used for the lights.
Colorado?
Las Vegas. I thought for sure the city of lights. Gambling.
Oh, that makes sense with the weddings.
All the marriages. Shrimp.
Why would I guess Las Vegas for shrimp?
I don't know. I just threw that one in there because it was funny.
Huh. The lights, that makes sense too. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. But this one's going to be a more recent case, and I'm not going to lie, when I read it, it's different than some of our other cases, and I'll be curious what you think of it. But it's in 2021.
That is pretty recent.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to it.
I was getting slobbery, so I was trying not to make it so I sound like a St. Bernard gun.
It's been a few years since that episode.
So on the night of November 1st, 2021, 23-year-old Tina Tintor is out with her childhood best friend, Bojana.
Say it like you mean it.
Bojana. Bojana?
I don't know.
Bojana? Filipovic.
Oh.
I apologize.
Now that's the one I would have been concerned about pronouncing.
Bojana.
That sounds inappropriate.
Filipovic. They meet when they're 5, living in like the same neighborhood area. They say neighborhood, by the way, but they're like 2 miles away from each other. So I don't know if when they were 5, she lived closer, or they're considering like, you know how in New York they'll say like whatever village, but it's like, it's a rather large area. Where I come from, if I was a neighbor, I wouldn't consider you 2 miles away. But they say they live in the same neighborhood.
Okay.
But just so you know. But Tina lives in the same house she did since she was a small child, but they're still friends. Anyhow, that Tina also has her dog Max with her, because they're the bestest of pals, so they spend a whole lot of time together. Her and her dog, that is, and her best friend. Max is a 3-year-old golden retriever, and he's about the cutest thing. I saw a puppy picture of him, and he's so cute.
If anything happens to the dog, I'm going to be real mad at you.
All right. And it's real fucked up priorities right now.
Well, that you're making a point of saying how adorable he is.
That's because golden retriever puppies just look like cotton balls.
Well, I think all puppies are adorable. Even like the really ugly ones.
Not true. No. I saw one that looked like a flounder. I don't know why his eyes are so far apart, but
because his mom was also his sister.
Probably so. It was an Alabama dog.
Said it all.
He also had mange, so he had no hair, and I was like, oh my god, this poor dog.
Oh.
But anyway, back to Max. He's a 3-year-old golden retriever, and he's cute. And anyone with a long-haired dog, especially a retriever, knows they love to play ball, and they also get super hot. So when the sun's down, that's the best time to play, and that's because they're not getting overheated. They're not being baked by the sun and all that.
Yeah, I have a husky. I know how it works. They don't like the heat.
Yeah. Now, Tina lives at home with her family. They immigrated from war-torn Serbia in 2000 when Tina was just a baby. Now, her friend, Bojana.
You better figure out how you're saying it, lady.
I know.
But I know the one way it sounds like vagina, so...
Let me look it up. How to pronounce Bojana. Well, I said that wrong. I apologize for her name. Not for her name, but for my pronunciation of her name. So her and Bojana, they're both from Serbia. And they kind of bond over that. So since their families from there. Even though they didn't live there, they're going to talk about planning a trip together, get back to their roots. So Tina's going to text her mom to let her know that it's going to be a late night out for her and Max. And, she's just chit-chatting with her pal like she normally does. They're going to hang out at the dog park and just shoot the shit. But not to worry, because she's going to be home and absolutely ready to do errands by 7 o'clock, which I did the whole
7 o'clock at night?
In the morning.
Oh.
No, they're out late. Like, it's before midnight. So when she texts her mom that, she'll be home, not to worry, that they'll still do what they had planned, because she helps out a whole lot. Mm-hmm. But the two friends are going to talk and just hang out, hopes and dreams of the future. Tina, she was working on getting her U.S. citizenship and was nearly finished with that, so it's exciting.
How old are they again?
23.
Okay.
But she also wants to work towards getting into computer programming and having a career going that route. And she's kind of working her way towards that. So she's working at Target for a few years. She's also working remotely for an insurance company. Super driven, really cool person. But not only does she work those two jobs, but she also helps out around the house any way she can, whether that's bills or doing errands with her mom. But just that kind of person who, even with all the responsibilities she has, she'll still have the ability to joke around and be happy and hardworking. To me, when I was reading it, it sounded like somebody who, they're not afraid of all the work to be done. They're going to make light of it, but still get it done. And those are the kind of people that you want on your team.
Right.
Now, mind you, they're having these life conversations while Max is doing his thing, running around. I feel like since they're there so long that he's taking intermittent, like, heavy panting breaks and going back to playing with the ball.
Yeah.
And I also imagine that I know golden retrievers are super social, but it's got to be nice to be at the dog park when no one else is.
Yeah, unless you wanted that social interaction, because to me, I would have thought that...
Well, she's got her friend. It's almost like having your private park.
No. I meant with the dog.
Oh, well.
Because, I know my boy needs more interaction with other pooch.
Yeah. I remember living in an apartment that had a dog park, and surprisingly, people would bring their dogs that were real bad down there. So I guess part of me leaned towards the whole, must be really nice to know there's not another dog in there that's just going to come flying over and maul my dog.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
But again, Max is doing his thing. They're chit-chatting into the wee hours of the morning until it's just after 3 a.m. when Tina goes to, they go to leave the park and she's got to drop her friend off, and then she's going to head home the few blocks that it is. But after a while, Tina's mom will start to worry when Tina doesn't show up.
Do these people not sleep?
It is the city that never sleeps. Or is that New York?
I thought that was New York.
I don't know. Vegas doesn't seem to sleep either. That's why they got all those lights.
You're an idiot.
I'm just saying. I went to Vegas and everybody's like, they're out the same number of people no matter what time of day it is.
All right.
But Tina's mom's going to start to worry when she doesn't show up. She calls her. She texts her. Nothing. So then she calls the local hospital, just, out of fear for the worst. But she's not there.
That's for sure the worst.
Yeah. Well, then she sees a news report on a car crash that's within 2 miles of their house, and it would have been where she would have been driving. So she calls Bayana, telling her that Tina isn't home. Is she with you? Or, there's a car accident that's being reported that's not far. Can you go check and see if it's Tina's car?
What is with you and the go check?
So, spoiler, it is going to be Tina's car. So Tina dropped off her friend and turned onto Rainbow Boulevard. Her car was at a stop when her Toyota RAV4 was rear-ended by a speeding vehicle, launching her car several hundred feet from where it's just sat. Tina's car hit like that road barrier, the concrete things, and erupted into flames while the other vehicle went sliding out to rest a few hundred feet from the initial impact. Its driver slumped over and the passenger disoriented. 911 was called immediately after the crash, but bystanders are going to run to Tina's vehicle as soon as it happened. Obviously, if it starts to catch on fire, One of the first ones to Tina's side was Tony Rodriguez. Now, Tony was in his car driving when all of it happened, and he and his friend were both ones that ran to Tina's car. Her doors are locked and the windows are up, so Tony runs back to his car and grabs a hammer, comes back, smashes the rear window first. Nobody's back there. Then he smashes the driver's window and sees Max and Tina in there.
Oh, poor Max. And Tina.
he smushes down the airbag. Tina's alive, but disoriented, and like, I can imagine. I mean,
Yeah.
especially being at night. I've never had airbags go off at night, but I know it's disorienting during the day. So bear in mind, all the things that are happening very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he tries getting Tina out, but the doors doesn't open. He said it was locked, but I don't know if it's more
jammed.
Yeah. He tries to cut through the seatbelt, but it's really close to her, and he can't get through the airbag or the seatbelt. The airbag's kind of still in the way, and again, the door is jammed shut. So he's trying. He's even screaming for Tina to help him. I think he was screaming at her, one, because, there's flames, and also of like a snap out of it. I need you to help me help you, because he can. I mean, she wasn't chit-chatty, but he's just like screaming at her to you got to help me to help you get out.
Yeah.
And he tries like panicking, trying to open the door, trying to get her out. All the while the fire is getting bigger, hotter. There's more and more smoke. And he can't handle it anymore. So he has to jump away as the flames fully engulf her car, with Tina still trapped in the driver's seat and Max trapped in the back.
Oh.
Both will die in that fire.
Oh, God.
And I can't tell you how much that breaks my heart for her and her family. This has really shaken me to my core, because I thought drowning was bad, but I feel like burning alive is higher up there.
Yeah.
But this happens within 2 minutes. It's such a small amount of time that it's devastating. Another bystander comes running over. His name's Alexander Hart. He was a security guard at a nearby complex, and now he heard the bang of when the collision happened and saw flames coming from one vehicle, and he heard screams. The screams were coming from the other vehicle. The passenger, 22-year-old Rudy Washington, she's the girlfriend of the driver, who's unconscious. The driver of the vehicle was 22-year-old Henry Ruggs III, who was a rookie wide receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders. He was partially ejected because he wasn't wearing his seatbelt, and he was unconscious. Now, Rudy was injured and screaming for help, probably just out of fear, and, I mean, it was an accident. Now, there's a video of all of this where she can be heard yelling, "Please don't let us die," and I feel like, again, with all the smoke, that car is currently on fire, and her boyfriend is just unconscious and slumped over, that she goes around to his side and yanks his ass out of the car, even though, I mean, probably not the best idea to move somebody, most likely had a neck injury, but I feel like, I don't know what I would have done if the car also involved in the accident caught fire. I can see where you'd want to yank somebody out just in case.
Yeah.
But she yanks him out of the car. Everybody around, or like the other bystanders, they thought he was dead just with how limp he was. Now, mind you, from the time that happened till Tina's car is fully inflamed, like I said, is within 2 minutes. And police officers are on scene pretty much at the same time as first responders. And by this point, Tina's car is already fully engulfed in flames. You can't even tell, like, it's just a fireball. You wouldn't be able to tell what kind of car it was. So firefighters work to extinguish the fire while paramedics tend to the other vehicle. Now, the passenger, I already told you, was Henry's girlfriend, Rudy. She had like an arm or wrist injury. I assume it was broken because we'll get to that, actually.
And her boyfriend plays football?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of muscles does she have that she pulled an unconscious football player out of a car with a broken wrist?
One-armed? I don't feel like it was beautiful. Well, he wasn't seatbelted in, so I feel like she probably grabbed him by the back of his shirt and pulled, and he probably fell out rather than lifted in a beautiful carry kind of thing.
Well, I wasn't picturing a beautiful kind of carry thing, but I know you do your dead man drills with Dave, but lugging around an unconscious man.
It's not dead man drills, it's man down drills.
Whatever.
My God. Anyway, so eventually Henry is going to start to come around, even though he's super disoriented and slurring his words, yelling incoherently.
He's drunk.
Officers are going to ask him, like, where was he going? Just basic questions, stuff like that. And he'll say home, 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 but he's not making full sentences. So they're just like, will you submit to field sobriety testing? And he's like, no. How about a breathalyzer? No. So they're going to load Henry and Rudy up and take them to the hospital to ensure they're fine. And I mean, so drunk people can also behave like people with head injuries. And since he's bloodied and was just in an accident, they're just like,
better be safe than sorry.
right. But when they get to the hospital, they don't have life-threatening injuries, Rudy or Henry. But he would act like a drunk fool at the hospital, trying to rip out his IV, yelling at medical staff to get him the fuck out of here. When officers would ask him questions again, he'd be incoherent. Meanwhile, officers would get a warrant to blood test Henry. His results come back with a .16.
Oh, gosh.
Which is way over the limit.
It's a double.
Mm-hmm. Such a serious don't drink and drive example. I just can't even stress it enough because drinking and driving is stupid. But we'll harp on that towards the end because I know you're curious about how all the things happen. So, cool thing about newer cars, they have EDRs. You ever heard of those?
Nope.
So it stands for Event Data Recorder. It's kind of like a black box is for an airplane. They're able to record speed, brake usage, throttle position, airbag deployments, seatbelt status. It's pretty impressive, and the data salvaged can be used to show excessive speeding or reckless behavior rather than your car malfunctioning. Yeah. But it pretty much takes the guesswork out of what happened. So they get a warrant to retrieve that data. And turns out Henry's car was recorded going 156 miles per hour with the throttle at 100% just 2.5 seconds before he slams into the back of Tina's car.
Oh my gosh.
It also recorded that he slammed on his brakes, dropping his speed to 127 miles per hour when he hit the back of her car. And based on the damage to Tina's car and that they were able to determine, she was either stopped or just started to go when he slammed into the back of her, and that's what propelled her so far.
Poor girl.
So no surprise here, but Henry would be booked later that morning in Clark County Detention Center on DUI charges resulting in death, reckless driving, and vehicular manslaughter.
Good.
Now, just before his ass is wheelchaired into the courtroom wearing a neck brace, he had, again, minor injuries and was recovering from whiplash.
He's lucky that's all.
I think it's crazy whenever shit like this happens. The driver's always the one who's fine.
Because he was drunk and went limp.
Well, right before he gets wheelchaired into court, he gets the news that the Raiders are dropping him from the team. And I say, way to go for the NFL. I appreciate that they don't support people who drink and drive.
Yeah.
Now, his next court appearance is the following day where they set his bail at $150,000.
That's it?
Despite the prosecutor seeking it to be a $1 million bail. The judge felt that it was excessive in light of the fact that this guy's never been in trouble before.
Just because he hasn't been before doesn't mean he didn't. His actions killed someone.
Dude, I had so mixed feelings on this case because I too was like, I was wildly upset that you're talking about he's a football player. $150,000? That's it?
Yeah.
And with the whole he's never been in trouble, so I got it. She burned alive. Her and her dog burned alive. Like, $150,000 bail? Are you... Okay, so he's barely going to be in jail, and he just gets sent on home.
It's really disgusting of the judge.
Now, he's going to make bail.
Obviously.
And be on house arrest with an ankle monitor. He'll also be forced to surrender his passport. He's not allowed to drive. He's not allowed to drink or consume any drugs, and has a 6 p.m. curfew.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's kind of cool because they have breathalyzers set up, I guess, to ensure that randomly that he has no alcohol in his system. And the curfew, because I did the whole, what the fuck's the point of house arrest if you got a curfew?
He got fired. What?
But it was to factor in if he has court appearances or medical visits. They don't give a shit. He's got to be home by 6.
Okay. That makes sense then.
He would not go on trial.
What?
Instead, he's going to plead guilty to felony DUI and vehicular manslaughter on May 10th, 2023. He would be sentenced to serve 3 to 10 years, which I also was darty-eyed. Like, I get that he did not intend to kill Tina. However, he made the decision to get in the fucking car.
Yeah.
And I hate drunk drivers. It's the most selfish thing I feel like you could do. It just, I don't know. I had seething hate for this feller because I get that he wasn't somebody who we usually talk about who has a troubled past. They're not doing any good and they cause harm to someone.
No, he sounds like he was an entitled little prick who got drunk as a skunk and got behind the wheel.
Well, let me tell you this next bit and then we'll chit-chat. So Henry and Rudy apparently were high school sweethearts, and then both ended up going to different colleges. Now, Henry went to the University of Alabama from 2017 to 2019, and then entered the 2020 NFL draft, where he was picked during first rounds, which is apparently a big deal.
Tell me you don't watch sports without telling me you don't watch sports.
Every article I read was so pressed on he was a first round draft pick. Okay, that.
Wait. Think of it as in PE class when they're picking teams. He was the first one picked.
Well, I think he was 12th, but of the first round, he was one of the top ones. So it's apparently a big deal. So this feller, and he seems like he comes from a good family. They're also sporty people, and this is not a case of somebody bad being bad. He was on the right path. But anyways, so he gets drafted. He's offered a 4-year contract in the amount of $16.67 million with a signing bonus of $9.68 million, making his yearly salary $4.17 million. And Rudy went to Payne College in Augusta, Georgia on a volleyball scholarship. I don't know that they ever broke up, or they just were doing long distance thing, or if they rekindled their romance. But they do end up welcoming a daughter into the world in May 2020, but they're not married. So the night that all the things change for them, Henry and Rudy were out drinking at a golf place with friends, apparently in Vegas. I don't know if it's anywhere else, because this is the first I've heard of a thing where it's a bar, but you're also smacking golf balls around. So it's I guess a drinking bar with with a driving range, I guess is what it sounded like. So they're just smacking golf balls around and drinking. And around midnight, they decide to take the party back to a friend's house, where they continue an evening of drinking and enjoying everyone's company. Before you ask, their daughter was not there. I don't know who was watching her, because no one seemed to be asking those questions.
He's got $4 million a year. I'm sure he's got a nanny.
Yeah, somebody's watching her. Yeah. But I'm surprised you'd think with all that money you could buy yourself a driver.
Yeah, well, he's invincible.
Well, about 3:30 is when they decide to make the decision to drive home. So Henry and Rudy get into his brand new Corvette and head out. Now, he's later going to claim he doesn't even remember getting in his car, which pisses me off a second time, because friends don't let friends drive drunk.
Yeah.
Somebody in there knew he'd been drinking the entire time they've been with him. He could have killed his baby mama. He could have killed both of them as well, and their kid would have been orphaned. But obviously, that's going to end badly.
I hope her mom sued him for wrongful death.
On June 17th, 2025, Henry would get special permission to speak about the accident publicly during an event in Vegas called Hope for Prisoners. He would say, "I want everyone to know that I'm truly sorry for what I did that led to this tragedy. I have no excuse. I am fully responsible for what I did that day. To the Tintor family, I can't imagine your pain, and I pray you find peace." He would also talk about wishing he could go back in time and change things. He's going to be eligible for parole August 2026.
Ew.
Until then, he's got his trustee status and is working hard to get his life back on track, with hopes of going back to the NFL when he gets out.
Oh.
Now, Tina was loved by so many people, and just reading a lot of the articles, all the impact statement things of just, she seemed like she was genuinely a good person. One person described that she would give you the food off her plate just to make sure you weren't hungry. The kind of person that give you the shirt off their back if you needed it, a shoulder to cry on, an ear to listen to, all while still having a friendly smile and a jovial spirit to lift yours. And I think it's so sad that in an instant she was gone in the most tragic way I can think of.
Yeah.
And I'm just real sorry that the world lost a person like that, and for all the people who knew her, and all the people that won't have the privilege to get to know her because of somebody's decision.
I find it disgusting he thinks he's going to go back to the NFL, and I pray that nobody takes him.
So I have such mixed feelings, because when I first became aware of this case, it was really briefly gone over of car accident, car caught in flames, driver burned alive. And I was like, my God, that is so horrible. Then it pissed me off that it was somebody that had a DUI. Then it pissed me off that it was somebody who had plenty of fucking money to be able to Uber anywhere.
Yeah.
And then it pissed me off some more because I realize he's in jail right now. However, he has, from the time this releases, about a year, and he might be able to patch his life up and move on. And that seems really, it doesn't seem like there's justice for Tina, and I don't even know what justice for Tina would look like, because this was somebody who, he did not get in trouble. He was a good boy, and he made a bad decision. And I'm not saying that doesn't come with consequences, but it's also a case of one moment in his life, and he can't even remember making that poor decision, which is also, I guess, a poor decision that he drank so much that he got to that point. But we're talking about a 22-year-old moron who has way too much money to know what to do with and just making bad decisions, and it costs somebody everything. It costs a lot of people a lot.
Yeah. I'd be curious what his baby mama's blood alcohol level was. I know she wasn't the driver, but...
Yeah. So that's where, when I was telling you that she had like a wrist or arm injury, so she refused to disclose her medical stuff and that made more sense to me when I realized they'd been together since high school. They have a baby together. She was not interested in sticking it to him because the prosecution wanted to use her injuries to escalate the DUI charge that like he hurt multiple people with his actions kind of thing. But, I would think burning alive is a pretty severe one. If you can't give somebody the max on that, I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody died. And it's not, I mean, I wish she was dead when they tried to pull her out. And I'm not going to lie, I got teary-eyed multiple times doing this case because I can't even imagine being the bystander.
Trying to help her.
Trying to fucking help her. And it's just like, I've been around a fire that when it's too hot, it's not like, oh, it's warm. It's too hot. You are physically unable to assist because it's so hot.
Yeah, you're getting burns from being that close to the heat. Yeah.
Right. And just knowing that not only were you not able to help, but when you jump back and the car fully engulfs in flames, that person is alive.
Yeah. That's really sad.
I felt so bad reading his recount of the event because he ends up like, I feel like you're almost out of body experience of he walks back to his car and he's got blood all over him. I'm not sure if it's just since he broke the window. They don't really say if it was his or hers because by the time they put the fire out, Tina is burnt up. So who's to say whose blood? But I can't even imagine going back and just living through that experience trying to help somebody.
No, I hope he got some therapy. And I hope her mom is doing okay. Was she an only child?
No, she had a brother. I don't know if she had more than just the brother, but I do know she wasn't an only child. But she was a super great person. And I realized he wasn't a bad person. And that's where I say I have mixed feelings because it was such a small amount of time. And it also has me have a fear of car accidents and bursting into flames now. I told Dave, I was like, I need one of those window smashers because she was just talking about her dreams, her hopes, and all the things with her friend minutes before.
Yeah, that's really sad.
And the fact that, one, I thought it was pretty quick response that like from the time the accident happened to first responders being there was 2 minutes. That length of time had to feel like hours, but it's just like there was no saving her. Everybody got there as quick as they could. It just so excessive in the speeding, and I don't see how his girlfriend was not screaming because that's going super fast. And I feel like if you're drunk, I don't know, maybe she wasn't aware how fast he was actually going, but it was well over the speed limit.
It sounds like she was aware because it sounds like she braced for impact, and that's how she broke her wrist.
Yeah, but that's... Again, I know it's different from other cases we've done because there wasn't the intent to do harm in this one. But I feel like this one shook me more because I don't know if it's the same for you, but it's almost like some of the cases that are just wild and crazy and somebody murdering a prostitute, it's easy for me to keep myself at a distance of that because it doesn't feel like that could happen to me because I'm not a prostitute. So
Yeah.
not to say only prostitutes get murdered, but I'm just saying some of the cases we do, it's just like, wow, that seems like such a crazy far thing. It's not a fear for me because I wouldn't be in that situation. But this one is like, this should startle everybody and make you think before you let a friend drive or before you get in a car with somebody who drank, or even when you're out and about. Everyone's actions can affect you, even if you're doing right.
Yeah.
And I think that's so beyond sad of how it all played out. And that scares me because it just takes somebody else doing something fucking stupid to take you out in a second.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
Way to make that case, by the way, because I was just telling you about my boy staying out past curfew last night and that he was in trouble today. And yeah.
I'm not going to lie, it scares me for you, and not to try to make you freak out on your boy, but it doesn't have to be the driver doing anything wrong. It can just be the wrong place at the wrong time. And if people are doing stupid shit, like, it just...
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't want you to go full crazy on your boy, but I feel like everybody needs to evaluate the things. And I would like to think that I prepare myself for a lot of situations, but when I read this case, or there are clips of like the car being on fire, and it's just... you can't tell what kind of vehicle it is. It's a fireball. And just knowing that somebody died in that, it gives me goosebumps. And then knowing if that were happened to me, I don't have anything. I mean, mind you, somebody could grab something and break the window, but I really, in that short of a time when you're panicking or disoriented or trying to do, like, I wouldn't have been prepared.
Yeah. My only hope is that she was so disoriented and hopefully fell unconscious before she actually burned.
I wish she would have died on impact. I feel like if he would have T-boned her, she would have.
Yeah.
But because I think he hit her in the back. And I know it's not what most people would focus on, but I did try to find out, what about Max? I feel like he could have, but since obviously a dog's not in a seatbelt thing, I feel like Max had to have been pretty bad off as well.
Yeah.
That he didn't climb out the window.
Yeah, the second you said he broke the window, I would assume the dog was badly injured if it didn't immediately jump out of a burning vehicle and get out of, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So I just assume that happened, but my heart breaks for Tina and Max. And again, when I was telling you that she had so many people who loved her, I just like, the community was just super brokenhearted. They painted a mural on one of the buildings of her and Max. And I love that they didn't forget about Max either.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Because he's also a victim in this. And that's where I have mixed feelings on what would have been the right punishment, because
he wasn't a bad guy.
Yeah,
he made a selfish decision.
And I do think he probably feels like a pile of shit. How could you not? But I hope that he does do good things, because should he get out of jail and do other stupid things because he can't get his life on track, not only does he affect his daughter's life now, but it just kind of is an insult to Tina.
Yeah.
So my hope is that not only can this raise awareness to the drunk driving side of, and even if he wasn't drunk and just excessively speeding or any of the things that might make it so other people can learn from it and maybe save somebody who's about to get burnt up, so that it's not her death in vain, and that he goes on and does really great things and still remembers her.
Yeah.
And that's where I said I had mixed feelings, because when I started it, I was like, fuck this dude. But then it's also I don't know that jail for the rest of his life for somebody who's not a bad person, even his family. And that's where I say it rippled so much, because getting into that car changed everyone's life. You've got a daughter who can't see her dad, and hopefully by the time he gets out, she really won't have any sort of memories of that, but those are all the things he missed out on.
Yeah, but Tina misses out on everything.
Right. She barely lived.
So, I don't know. I'd be curious what her mom thinks of his sentencing. Does she have forgiveness for him?
They don't talk.
Yeah, I figured, but I'm saying, like, I'm just curious, because I don't know that I would be as forgiving if somebody hit my kid.
Yeah. I don't know how you could, because it's so
Preventable?
well.
It was a preventable accident.
It was preventable, but it was just so, like, they're perfectly fine. You just talk to them and then they're just gone. I feel like it takes a real long time to wrap your head around. But then, like, I don't feel like, I don't know how, knowing your child burnt alive because of somebody's actions. I didn't even know her, and I can't get over, like, that is such a horrible way for, like, she did not deserve that. No, nobody deserves to burn alive.
That was my follow-up question for you. I was like, maybe them serial killers, they can go that way. But
I know the bystander, when they, like, one of the anniversaries of her death, when they talked to him and, like, he was telling how, like, the windows were up and the doors were locked, so he went and grabbed his hammer, did all that. But when he had to turn away and the car caught fire, it just, like, he remembers walking back to his truck and looking down, and he had blood on him, and he needed to get the blood off his hand. Like, so they went and drove down so he could wash his hands, but he's just like, he just prayed. And he said that even with the time that's gone by, God has not helped him through it. And that's not even his daughter. But I don't know how you get through something like that as a bystander, let alone as a relative or a friend.
yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. But that's where I was on the, it's very recent for me. And when you were talking about your son not abiding by his curfew, it just, like...
Which one? The other one just had dinner with you and your husband and was sitting there telling you about how him and his buddies were out and about, and he was DD, and there was a question of, was he DD?
Yeah. Well, it did make me think of both boys, actually, because I did think of your older one. That
my older one was the driver, and my younger one was the one that got rear-ended. Yeah. Well, way to make them both in that case.
It was, but your oldest boy there, I was sitting there doing the whole, I kind of hope he listens to this one, and maybe even I'll send him a clip of the video of that her car catching on fire, because you can do right your entire life, make one poor decision, and you're just flushed it down the toilet.
Yeah, feel free to do it. It'll mean more coming from you than if I were to do it, because I was just the ma.
Well, it's just one of those, I feel like everybody's been there, of when you're young and you feel like you're invincible. And I can't imagine having that invincible feeling with also millions to back it up.
Yeah.
But I was glad that the Raiders
dropped his ass.
Yeah, they didn't even wait for it to go to any sort of, is he going to be convicted? They fucking dropped him when they found out he was drinking and driving. So I appreciate that we're not supporting the drinking and driving. I just wish it would have been solidified before he made the decision.
Yeah, it's really sad. And I wish he had better friends.
Right. Makes me think that they were drunker, that they couldn't see that he was drunk.
Well, it makes me question what her blood alcohol was, because was it at all possible that he didn't realize he was as drunk as he was, but let's say that she did and someone tried to stop him? Because those excessive speeds, it sounds like there may have been either they're both having the time of their life until tragedy, or there could have been a little bit of aggression. And it sounds like she had her hand on the dashboard.
Yeah. I don't know, because, again, she wasn't participating in his prosecution, so...
Yeah, but that's also her baby daddy and the guy she's been with for many, many years, so...
So we will not know if he was angry and they're leaving and that was a thing. He'll say that he doesn't recall the accident or even getting into his car to drive.
Yeah, whatever.
And I don't think she'll ever say anything because, again, she wasn't trying to make things worse for him. So, well, we won't know if he was not supposed to be the driver. I would think that even going out planning to drink and do all that and not having a plan of who's going to be driving, that in itself is a recipe for disaster. But I feel like if you've got a Corvette, you can afford an Uber.
Yeah.
Or crash at your friend's house. Because let's face it, if you're drunk and it's 3 o'clock and you're headed home, you're also not taking care of your kid.
Yeah.
So,
well, and realistically, I'm not advocating for heavy drinking, okay? But I did buy one of those breathalyzer things, and I've blown a 0.19 on that thing before, and I remember the night before. So a 0.16.
So mind you, That was when he's already at the hospital, so I don't know how many hours later it is.
Well, I don't know.
And maybe you're a functioning alcoholic. We don't know.
I'm not an alcoholic.
This is Andrea's intervention.
I don't even drink every week. I don't even drink once a month.
Oh, I was going to say, you don't drink. You just said you blew.
Yeah.
0.19?
Yeah.
Were you driving?
No, I was home.
Oh. Well, I'm not going to lie. I want to get one of those seatbelt slicers
And a window breaker.
Well, as I was telling it, I think I remember seeing like a survival thing show where somebody took off the headrest of their seat and used the metal things.
Great. I'm a goner because mine is one piece.
Oh, well, can I perhaps suggest you get one? But then I was sitting there thinking of like, fuck, you know what's stupid? You know how when your airbags go off, the car shuts off? Which I get why it does that. But you'd think it would automatically try to unlock the doors. Or just like make an instant thing where the window just falls down. Or make it so when the airbag goes off, it shatters the windows going outwards.
Yeah.
I don't know that any of those, this is just me brainstorming. I'm not saying these are good ideas logistically, because I was sitting there picturing like recalls on cars that windows are just exploding on or falling down.
Somebody hard brakes and all of a sudden their window explodes.
But I just, reading the guy's account as he was trying to help her of like trying to pull the door open, just knowing from like first responder side of like the jaws of life, how much effort it takes to actually pry a car door open, that like he didn't stand a chance there. And like him screaming at Tina of like, you need to help me get you out, tells me she was at least not there enough that I really hope she passed out. I'm hoping she did, because as morbid as it sounds, I did try to find if like she screamed out or anything. And
well, have you ever been around a fire? It's loud.
Fire, it's loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if she was out of it, even if she screamed out, I don't feel like it would be
heard
very loud, because she sounded like she was very weak and very injured.
Yeah.
My boy is going to really appreciate this being fresh in my brain when I get after him for breaking curfew.
Well, I can absolutely send you the link of this happened so fast. And again, she was not doing anything wrong. And she died. Died in a fiery car accident where there were people there to help. And you can just explain it to your boy there that even if something happens and let's say he bursts into flames, you guys are in the country. People will not be there to help.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I want everybody to tell their young child who thinks they're invincible and nothing bad can happen that 20-something-year-olds die all the time, whether it was their fault or not. And they also kill people accidentally because they also think that they can't. This won't happen to me.
Yeah. I'm a good driver.
I know that was a lot more of me on a tangent.
Or actually, they also do but I'm not going far.
Yeah.
Because that's the one that made me think of my boy when he was justifying that the hotel that they were going to was right there.
Yeah. Well, it only takes a one-time poor decision to fuck up your entire life. So I would say anytime you're drinking, have a plan of somebody to drive. And anytime you're drinking and deciding whether or not you'll get in the car, is it worth the rest of your life or someone else's? Can you live with that? And if you're a piece of shit enough to go, yeah, sure, and hop in the car and drive, then you deserve what you get. And if not, have a plan. And should you be a bystander, I have no stock in it, but I highly suggest people get those seatbelt cutters and a window breaker, because you never know when you're going to need it. You could just be milling along on your own and see somebody's car caught on fire, and you could be the difference between, not shaming the bystander there because he did everything he could. You could be the difference between somebody living and dying by how prepared you are for an emergency.
Don't come at me for the wrong information here. But wasn't there like a cab company or somebody that was like, if you call them and you let them know that your designated driver ended up drinking, they will give you a ride?
I think there is.
So there's really, even if you were broke, there is no reason to jeopardize your life or other people's.
I think it comes down to nobody makes good decisions drunk. So your drinking, having fun time is dependent on how well you plan it sober.
And how well you are at keeping your plans. Because if you can plan it sober, but if you decide to change your plans all the time, then...
Well, your designated driver is also your babysitter, so if they choose to drink, they're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Because really, your DD is more than just your DD. They're your decision maker.
Right.
But
that was a different kind of case. I thought for sure you were going to say she got attacked. I knew she was going to be our victim, but I thought you were going to say she got attacked at like the dog park.
I knew you were going to. And I'm not going to lie, part of me did the whole, who's at the dog park late at night? But I guess if it's just like you want to chit chat with your friend and just enjoy the night. And I do know like Washington State, they have dog parks where it's like more of a social bar area. Not saying she was drinking, but like I know they were turning it more towards it's less of a dog park and more of a place where you can go and socialize and walk around, and you can also bring your dog. They're free to poop. But
wow. Imagine stepping in that.
Well, people pick them up when they're out and about. It's the law.
I don't believe that. I call bullshit. If it's an adult drinking type scenario and their dogs are running around shitting, you can't tell me somebody with a buzz is willing to bend over to pick up a turd. No.
I didn't say it was beautiful, but a lot of it is turf. So it's not like you can walk around and be like, you don't see the turds. It's not real grass.
Did we not just discuss that drunk people are not all the way with it?
They're just going to finger paint or forget that they didn't grab a bag. They picked it up, but now what?
I told you my youngest did that, right? He picked up a turd and I told him he had to pick it up, and I gave him a bag, and then I walked away for a second, and then I came back. He had crap on his hands because he used his bare hand to pick up the poop and then put it into the bag. And then he was standing there with his hand like, oh.
He's like, you're the worst mom ever for making me do this.
I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, you told me to pick it up. And I was like, I appreciate that he listens so well. However, oh boy, come on.
Yeah.
But
so he's one to watch because
and he was
sober.
Yeah, he's sober.
He was also a small child. So
yeah. Well, not small child. 9. Small, but
he wasn't a grown adult that picked up a turd and set it in the bag.
Yeah.
But that's all I've got for that one.
Well, thanks for that. I did not expect that one.
I didn't figure you would.
And I'm glad I kept my mouth shut because I was like, of course, because you're talking about how great this girl is. I knew she was going to be the victim. And then when you said it was her and her friend, I was like, but you weren't saying nothing about her friend being all great and wonderful. So I was like,
Not saying her friend wasn't great and wonderful.
No, but people tend to focus on the person that becomes the victim. I've caught on to how you tell your stories. And then I thought for sure, like after she dropped her friend off, she was going to be attacked. But I didn't think it'd be because she got rear-ended.
Yeah.
It's horrifying. Thanks for that.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Homicide Hobbies. If we made you laugh, if we made you cry, or if we mind-fucked you for the day, then we thank you for listening. Please write a review on whatever you're listening to us on. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers. We're freaking awesome. And join us next week for another episode of Homicide Hobbies. I'm Andy.
And I'm Claire.
That's all we've got.